There was one that just kind of fell apart.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in about a minute. Letting you know, we'll be back in a minute. 1 minute. While you courtesy telephone, please.
And then there was one after that that did also didn't work out very well.
Oh.
Her son was getting
This is
married,
on.
she had other things and publicity didn't get out there. And we had already canceled for October, so this is November. And so we didn't alert people that we were back in business.
Do you know that 4 people came up to me and said, what a great meeting that was?
Then we got back on the ball after that. Or she did that.
There you go. You do it. And you chose to do that. I mean, it's like, let's
right. No, I had no problem with doing that.
No, we had,
did it fly? Yes, it will.
No, that's great to see. I wrote down here QR, spoke on John Ross. So when I do the write-up, that's what I'll do. And that's fine. And you read something of yours, so that's good. You covered the bases. People loved it, so it's good. But I have to get back and get this started. So I do that.
And what it's our teacher, you know, reading that guy's paper, we never had.
Yes.
And we're trying to give people who didn't know him some kind of somebody.
All right.
All right, we are now officially back. The second half is now starting. Drugs are kicking in. 553,000 people before my very eyes. Or 2. I can't. They're stopped talking out there.
All right.
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, I'm here.
Alistair Crowley.
I'm here.
John Dutton.
She's here.
Who's finished, actually. John Dutton is. Oh, yeah, John Dutton. Margaret Mead. Donna Reed. Linda Tortorelli. All these people left at the break. What is up with these people? They signed up at the break. All right. We will now proceed to the real name on the list. This looks like it's David Robertson. David Robertson, give him a round. He's bringing it back over.
I want to say something important.
A man of skill and dedication to the cause.
I have 4 brief poems that I've written. The first I wrote after seeing something on the drive back from Humboldt Bethlehem State Park. Man by 101 South with tambourine. A blur, a man, a tambourine outside my window streaked with water. Walking in light rain in green grass, carrying but not shaking the tambourine in his left hand. Miles from the nearest exit, and hundreds of feet above the river and redwoods flowing below me. From my brief perspective, he walks on forever, while he holds a story of music and clearings, sore feet and an endpoint, and I am the featureless blur that passes him by. And the next one I wrote is an apology to my girlfriend. Veil. My dance and radiance vanished in a moment of neglect, not mindful of the sunlight or the warm breeze on my skin, the glow of every dewdrop at the dawn of every night. My thoughts are elsewhere present in a story darkly lit. What useless indignation that weaves me far from you, standing here before me, my love so ever blue. This one's about the place I try to get to when I write. Inline. A phrase softly coalesces, gathering with the slowness of dreams. I wake to layered intricacy, slipping with my grasp, tracing circularity that fades to the light of day, expanding ripples lapping moment after moment, clasped within lustrous sheen. Growing to notice long enough to follow the pauses, opalescence by opalescence, to open to the shining city with no other gate, held in my losing any reflection but yours. And the last one's a little early for Beltane, but Green Man. Somewhere in the deep dark brown, your roots embrace me in the loam, rising with my heart to sun, though dreaming in the dark and dim. My green face shoots forth twigs and leaves from gnarled and weathered rings of wood, tossed to ground by storm and wind, and rotting, surge to leaves again. Every year I settle deep, and no one tills me to rebound. The time for winter and for spring, respiring with the mist and moon. I swallow whole the height of green, to whirl with dying color to the ground. And in the circle dance you dream, translucent in the heart of me. Thank you.
Thank you. David Robertson. And now I know some people are not ready for this. I'm always ready for this, and so is he always ready for this. The Clyde Always Show. The Clyde Always Show. Ladies and gentlemen, you call that applause out there?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, come on, step right up, folks. Want to grab yourself a front row seat before the guard. They're going fast. You don't want to miss this. It's time for another exciting installment of the Clyde Always Show with me. You're always clever, always handsome, always charming host, Clyde Always, and I ain't no common carnival barker. I am the Bard of the Lower Haight, and this is the origin of the gods. Once upon a time, in a wicked city, there lived a disgusting bum named Jimbo. Jimbo had tangled, dirty blonde hair and a face that was swollen up in purple, seeing as how he drank 1.5 gallons of rock-up moonshine a day, which he purchased in Chinatown for $0.25 a pint. Jimbo was very articulate, but he was also very horny. So he'd regale any woman he saw with the finest poetics he could muster, but always to no avail, seeing as how he smelled just like the city dump. But one day, while he was shooting up in the bathroom of a corporate coffee house downtown, a goat man appeared to him in the mirror, and the goat man said, "So says the fawn behind the glass. If sex you seek to gain, go grab a rag and wash your ass and comb that gnarled mane. When next you meet a foxy lass, she'll know you as James Vane." Then poof, the goat man disappeared, and James did as he said and walked out of that bathroom door, disgusting bum no longer and never again. From that point ever after, he knew in his heart that he was in fact the most handsome poet who had ever lived. He spent the rest of that afternoon spouting verse to the rooftops until he came upon a dimly lit and deserted bar, where the bartender was fast asleep and snoring loudly. So James walked in and helped himself to a drink and noticed against the far wall of the pool room a cabinet secured heavily with locks and chains, and from within the cabinet came the sound of a gentle knocking. Sounded to James Vane like a plea for help, so cleverly he picked the locks with one hand while he snacked casually on olives with the other, then fell to his knees. This most beautiful woman he'd ever seen stepped out of the cabinet, looked down into his eyes, beaming sun spray from the back of her head, which, James noticed, was beautifully adorned with none other than the pelt and ears of a fox. She yanked his hair viciously, but spoke softly as a butterfly as she said, "I've been waiting for you, darling." And the words flowed freely from his heart as he replied, "I want to fuck you." To which the goddess giggled and summoned her magic and snapped her fingers twice, dissolving a flimsy floral print dress and revealing a tuft of solid gold pubic hair and a couple of daisies where her nipples ought to have been. Then, right there on the pool table, for 5 solid hours, they engaged in every insidious sex act ever invented and created a few new ones of their own as well, and recorded all of it in incredible detail in a tiny leather-bound journal, and fell fast asleep in each other's arms. They were awakened a couple of hours later by a man who shook them hard, saying, "Get your asses up!" They looked around to find a bar packed shoulder to shoulder with beards and beanies and skinny jeans and neck tattoos. The man indicated the stage at the front of the room that was spotlit and set, and he shouted frantically, "Let's go! You only get 5 minutes up there! Come on, come on, come on, come on!" They in a sort of a daze, walked naked hand in hand to the microphone, stared out into the eager eyes of the audience seated before them, and knowing not what else to do, raised the leather-bound journal between them and cracked it open, and bang, the goat man burst through the swinging doors, bringing hurricane winds behind him. And he pressed his silver fiddle to his beard and swallowed a blast of fanfare, shattering every piece of glass in the bar, and then some. James Vane and the foxy lass began to read as the fawn's harmonies wrapped them in a blanket of bliss, and then all three of them rose from the stage and smashed through the ceiling of the bar and continued to rise ever upward. The crowd sat dumbfounded in a moonlit puddle of their own tears as the MC called up in utter bewilderment, "Wait! Who are you guys?" And James Vane, almost to the brink of the heavens, did to reply in an echoing sonic boom, "Fuck you! We are the gods!" Thanks, everybody. Tune in next time.
That always so. Woo! That's a man. I told you. I'm always ready. And he is actually the host of, what was the name of that? What's the, Hayden Fillmore
Cafe International.
Cafe International, every Friday,
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. He does that.
7:30. 7:30. You have to sign.
Man's athletic. All right. So, thank you so much. And now we have Kathleen Wood coming up, a well-known poet, well-regarded. Give her a nice round as she comes up.
All right, it's okay. Hello.
Hello.
This one, I can't believe all this stuff happened like over 30 years ago. It's where I am. Mitch the bitch. Mitch was always looking for drugs. Got any drugsy-wugsies, he'd ask, flashing his maniacal, rotten, bleeding, dumb speed teeth at whatever punk rock tweak or junkie happened to be passing by. I wasn't going to fuck him because he was crazy, ugly crazy, and the papers were starting their AIDS War campaign, and Mitch seemed the most likely to go to me. Little bleach blonde coke fiend punk rock stripper me. I wasn't going to fuck him, so I shot coke with him. New needle, I went first. Figured he was on his way out anyway, but I needed him to do me because I didn't know shit from needles. God damn, he talked a lot after the coke hit him. Talk and talk about nothing. I kicked him out of my hotel room, went to work, snorted the rest of the half in the bathroom. Stripped to disco, it was the only thing on the jukebox. 2. Mitch got a mohawk and dyed his hair blue. He got on SSI, and so he had enough money for junk, speed, angel dust, always high and desperate, coming on to every girl in town. I wasn't going to fuck him. Mitch in his leather jacket, 3 columns on the back panel, 1 for punk bands, 1 for blues bands, 1 for classical music. I wasn't going to fuck him, but he was the first person I ran into the night I got thrown out of the strip club. Freaked out on booze and Valium. Hell, I don't even remember what I was freaked out about. But it earned me a month's suspension from the sleaziest strip club in San Francisco. I ran into Mitch. I was crying. Yeah, Valium and beer is a tough one, Mitch said, but I've got some speed that'll fix you right up. So we snorted the speed. We went to the Haight to visit Diamond Dave Whitaker, this old beatnik who knew Bob Dylan. David didn't want to deal with us. Mitch the bitch caffeine speed combo was not his idea of a good time. We went up on the roof and wrote on the walls. Then we went rampaging through the Haight looking desperately for a party till dawn. He told me he'd been a classical music student at Juilliard. Something had fucked up. Here he was with blue hair, the oldest punk on Haight Street. And if only he had a piano one of these days until dawn. I didn't fuck him, but we lay together for a while in an old abandoned building, hugging each other through the crash, and he bought us orange juice to drink because tweaks need their C. 3. Mitch was looking bad and acting crazier. He ran into me at a club and hugged me. You always look so sad, Kathleen, he said. Why are you so sad? I don't know, I said. Ever done a heroin angel dust combo, he asked me then. We should do some sometime. I kind of moved away, went and watched the band. Was it the DKs or MDC? I don't remember. My boyfriend and I decided that Mitch smelled like death. We didn't want to be around him anymore. One afternoon I was working in the anarchist bookstore and Mitch came in. He was crying. What's wrong, Mitch? Oh man, he said, I've got a cut that won't heal. It's getting infected. You know the reason I do all these drugs? He was sobbing. It's because I can't get a girlfriend. I'm 30 years old and I don't have anyone. I didn't know what to say. I muttered something ineffectual. He looked around desperate and ran from the store. He was halfway down the block. He was screaming at passers-by. I stuck my head out the window and yelled, Mitch, come back and talk to me, but he didn't hear. He was gone. Mitch received a court settlement. He bought a ticket to New York. Somebody told me later that right before he got on the plane, he said, now that I've got my settlement, I'm just going to get high and stay high forever. They found Mitch in an alley. The rats had eaten half his face off. My boyfriend told me it was a heroin angel dust OD. He died in a squat and the illegal occupants, fearing for their homes, had dragged him out into the alley. MDC wrote a song about Mitch, something about drugs. Morbidly, crashing from speed, I would tell myself I was next. I wasn't. A few other punks OD'd that year too. The next year, 1987, everyone joined NA. I never fucked Mitch, and Mitch can't fuck anyone now. He was 86 and 86, and I miss him.
That's what it was.
Thank you.
All right. Now, just in case I'm missing my guess, which I sometimes do, when we have someone new come in here who hasn't read here before, we tend to raise a hoot and a holler, stomping the feet, pounding the tables, animal noises, whistling, and all that. So I'm not sure if this person is in that category. Huh?
Meow?
Meowing is good. Meowing, goat noises, chicken noises. Animals appreciate poetry. So with that in mind, I just want to make sure you know what we're supposed to do in case that is the case. Ray, are you here? Is this your first time here, Ray?
Yes.
Oh, there we go!
Thank you. Yeah. Rubble in the road. There's bullshit that's smoothed out eventually. Like gravity's dance with the rocks on the rings of Saturn. A minuscule cling on a pebble. Angels pushing down on dust floating in the cosmic wind, falling in and around at the perfect speed, akin to when you hit a dip in the road and it causes a single drop of oil to fall. And the pattern persists into an iridescent puddle. Time flows similarly, but with an arrow hard to follow and unfurl, because there's always a catch, a void, pulling us to a reality of our creation. With our power, we fight towards an unknowable place. We'll envelop our essence in undeletable, eternal spirit vessels, infinitely interwoven with each other, starting with a conjecture, a hope, an irrational creation myth of our weaving that we told ourselves in the woods. And some finite time from now, we'll start to grasp the foundations with the whole of our being, with overflowing bliss, fully in love with the gift of life.
Oh.
I met a girl named Angel today. She was the flow, strong one who cracked wise with me. Yesterday, could have, you know. Found myself at this fine farewell among the hundreds I've had, where I'd probably never see those pain blue eyes of hers. She disagreed with me when I told her I'd probably never see her again. She said this world is smaller than it seems. I said it was actual size. Vast and careless among steep hills that endure nothing for that long.
All right.
That was actually, there we go. Let me pick that back up. Because I fucked it up. So, I told her it was vast and careless among steep hills that endure nothing for long. And I fucked it up again. Okay. I'm going to start with another one called Jack.
Okay.
For Mr. Caraway.
Oh.
No gold comes from scraping the bottom of the barrel. Fruitlessly, seemingly insightful, sycophantic suicide, opposed only to those daring to collide. Hearts cannot grow without moving almost massless molecules, creating a popless simulacrum, creating mimetic crumbs, coalescing this collective of consciousness, of carefulness, tearing away the callousation, emerging into castles of ex nihilo creation. This one's called Secular Spiritualist. Landscapes of self-void, overtaking my eternity, a completion of my creation, a release into pure sensation. An enigmatic sphere is erased immaculately clear. My relentless mental overseer is nowhere near. Where my mind deletes the boundaries between, where starry sky merges into crystal pine, inquisitiveness failing my scrupulously skeptical thoughts, I am constantly lost, failing to encapsulate my being into conceptual imperfections. I must go now, to continue leaving myself behind. And just as the dawn will come, the stars will fade behind the veil, just as this moment will fade away into nothings and illusions.
That's great. Great. I hope you come back. We're here every Wednesday, and we like that voice. I like that voice. I can't speak for anybody else. But you got the applause there. So, Ray was very helpful, even though he didn't know that, with letting us get prepared for the fact that we have newbies here. So, all the way from New York City, we have Emma Louise Bautista. Give her a nice round. And it's her first time here. Come on, people. Come on, shout. Hey, Steve! Oh!
Hi, everybody.
What part of the city?
This one's called Sleeping Beauty. I wrote it after I saw a prison uniform. Sleeping Beauty. We stand, clad in gray, neat rows below barbs that glint in wasting light, bearing no stains save for rust. We are penned by bars, chain link, this cruel wall, and yet shackled at the ankles, denied even the pleasure of a scramble up its staunch face to prick our fingers on the spindles. Then we'd surely be laid to sleep, eviscerated, beautiful. To my left, a veil by blade or box cutter, hooking eyelid to lower lip. To my right, fragile wrists like dandelion stems, an absence of slender fingers. The warden barks at stone ranks, thieves, leches, killers, and me. I wipe my forehead with the back of my hand. I think how remarkable it is to sweat, how the body becomes sheathed in sock to foil a fatal swoon. I think how cold I will feel once I've picked the pettiest fool in this line and beaten him beautiful. This one is called The Smoker. The smoker savors her self-inflicted atrophy. She knows a flicker of impulse and butane, births billows of freeze tears, sickens the head with warm ambivalence. She relishes the hollowness of her gut, gagged silent. She, sallowing skin on a chassis of bones, colorless cheeks, away from the ashes of a cherub. The body is scalding tungsten against fingers that will its unfurling. Slow for how lovely a glow, exhilarating to touch, it protests her meddling. She whispers vapors, bitter and reeking, like slivers of orange peel. Here's a weird one.
Oh boy. Uh-oh. You know how to tease us.
Cherry blow pop. Why didn't she care that policemen carry pistols and drive tricycles? Winter coats talk, saying $600 or cold, sad, and embarrassed. That was a sign actually, but his coat did not disagree. Pigeons have swollen pink masses for feet and keep on limping and nodding and laying 8 eggs a year. Why didn't she wait with that stranger for the ambulance she called? It wasn't even cold that morning, and did anyone care that he was comatose? A mother frowns over her toddler's boots, tied together, baby sucking on fingers, looking with giant eyes at something only it can see. Blow pops look like candy-covered brain matter. She watches clouds wash an iris of sky slim. She sees radial pulses of shadow, knows they are not there, but thinks them pretty, keeps looking, pupils pinholed to the sun, feeling neither good nor bad. It's called Edward Norton. We sit at a cafe table after glow dimming with the wane of day. My hand rests on the wood grain, between your words which tumble easily like improvised music, and my agitation, dormant thoughts peeked into bloom. Lovely you. I want you to trace a future on the rises of my veins, but it glints on your finger. I don't try to hide it. I am tarnished. I hate it. You look like this movie actor. I've seen almost all his films now. He can't hold my hand either. Here's the Tolkien ditty. Rivendell. I do not leave the Shire for hate of gentleness. Have we not both strayed from our hole for fair Rivendell of elven song, where with you I long to remain? I cannot deny peril's hearkening, nor the darkness of the way. And though I go, I know the songs will be sung, and hope they may be sweet. I know the hearth burns eternal, and hope to find it warm. And to gaze upon the looking glass at body tried by wandering, thoughtful eyes saddened by time, that with you may cross the sea.
Thank you. That was Emma Louise Batista from New York City. Thank you, Emma. New York. All right. Now, just we're going to give you the next few readers because I forgot to do that. We have Jerry Faraz next, then Bill Vartnaw, the mini feature, then Jane Radis, Hal Robbins, Garrett Murphy, and Clara Sue with the last final word of the evening. So, Jerry, come on up. Give him a nice round. He deserves that. And he is also the host of Bird and Beckett. Thank you. That's the third?
First and third.
First and third Mondays?
Yes.
First and third Mondays.
So 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
I've got 2 poems. First is called Homeless. Just so I roll up my sleeping and step into the new day. Let the sun shine and nature sing. I have no business today. I have nothing to offer others, yet I am not poor. I could set the world in order and push it like a toy car, but that is not my role. Rather, to be of no use at all and be totally incapable of cruelty. They say the day will come when everyone will have enough and the people will be as one. And so I prepare myself and try to keep my mind steady. But such a wanderer is the mind. This is a poem I wrote for my psychiatrist, who I knew for 50 years, who passed away. He was a great man, and I'm sure no one really knows the extent of his legacy, but anyway, this is a poem I wrote called Dream Fragment. Out of the shadow of sudden catastrophe, out of the maw of denial and disaster, uttered forth a man having the skin of an elephant, who was twice himself, like an open book, the edges of whose leaves were singed ash, for he had fused, touched at the infinitude of his being. And in his weathered wrinkles was written the natural history of the earth and all its progeny. But the end of days was not revealed, for in the spirit of his work his lips were sealed, as upon an ocean of possibility. And in one hand he held a scythe that worked after the fashion of his thought, and in the other an hourglass of blood, pulsing out the measure of our deeds. And it was his dream, his fate and destiny, to create a new order of consciousness against the rising tide of chaos and mindless waste, the dangerous business of the future piling up on his cosmic desk. And so he made haste ahead of us, his pockets filled with the roots and seeds of needful things, of wisdom, humor, and wonder, as a warm fire around which to gather and tell our stories to. But say, in some distant early spring, when the earth turns in ecstatic shades of green again, it means he is walking the Milky Way back home on the flower trail of his dreams, singing his sacred songs to help the ancient earth along, that it might be bloom again, and with all manner of new things, where each according to its kind shall be, hunters and gatherers of the great mystery.
Nice. Very Farrar. All right. Thank you. I tell you, this has been with some kind of night or other, I think. Some kind of night. And now, speaking of that, we have Bill Bartnock coming up for the mini feature. An honorable poet, well known in the East Bay and in the greater New Jersey area.
No.
He told me not to say that, but you know, he's famed over there. And don't let me tell my New Jersey joke.
Okay, don't tell me.
No, I'm not going to do that now. You're
I'm definitely not telling mine.
Okay, really.
I had the page marked and then I lost the.
I hate it when I do
It's
that.
one of those sprites that gets into your book.
It is.
Sprites. That, exactly.
I would have said that myself.
Yeah, but you know. He's smiling. I guess. Oh, I thought you were something.
I did. I found it. Okay, I'm going to start with. I'm doing a 70s thing tonight.
Yay!
Yeah. I came here in the 70s.
Disco duck.
And I drove cab for 3.5 years in the 70s. And this is the only poem I remember going to see Andrei Voznesensky at Norris Auditorium. And that was during my 10 hours driving cab. I just took the, and then I picked, the first person I picked up was this World War I veteran who sees one of his friends walking on the street, and he said, "We were heroes then, and now he's afraid to go out of his hotel at night." And I parked my car and wrote this. World War I in an American Legion cap, short, stiff steps behind a four-legged cane through Tenderloin trenches and into the R&R of low-cost housing, paid monthly by the Social Security of 9.2 howitzer memories and muggings in the gab of other old scars and wrinkles, reinforcing a world view hell is growing old in American cities. We were great then. Broke isolation for the ideal and volunteered to run like crazy through the shrapnel and the charcoal whore we made of the old world, spitting bullets in the sperm of tough talk, bottled in melting pot frustration, the stench of ghetto walk-ups. We were all, he wrote, whores then, but whores with a dream, and that was better than being peasants. World War I shuffles the dirt between soul and concrete. He must catch up with the pace he sets for himself in this transvestite night of neon necromania, where danger jumps like a stairway junkie from the thresholds of shadow dedicated to the unknown soldier and other prisoners of war. He pushes on to where the porno palace marquee radiates safety. He waits at the red light with the laughter of a corner hooker while steel horses strafe the intersection with obnoxious odors and the flash of ear-splitting sirens. We were heroes then, with a job to do. All around there was nothing but devotion to purpose. The gray-skinned panhandlers, wrapped in blankets and lice, scrounging through trash cans for their lunch. The holes in the ground, the blood-stained mud below the scream of bullets, the senseless bodies, the bodies riffing with wounds and dismemberment. The red and ruddy-faced drunk passed out and cursing on apartment house steps. The screaming three-time loser, hands cuffed behind him, pushed headfirst into the powder blue police services car, crawl over these monuments of manhood, feel the rub of flesh and khaki and blood and earth and horror and bone and self-hatred. Waiting, waiting, and waiting for nightfall, for help from the trenches, caught in the no man's land between the button and the breaking point, in the search and destroy mindset of Father knows best, fact-finding, fault-finding, perfect binding, and the sweet perversity of how much can you take. The vet in pointed cap and cement shoes pushes his Purple Heart through the shell shock of General Headquarters, home of the brave, till he again reaches relative safety in the hut 2-3 of his room, where he can fall back on his bed, look up at the ceiling, and think about the good old days.
Wow.
In the 70s, I lived over there at 1958 McAllister Street with this person who, fellow poet, who I couldn't find after a while. This is for Druid Spectle. You've been gone 5 years. Today, I know it's forever. The Social Security Death Index explains why you didn't return my calls. I failed you. I won't blame your puns directly, but they created the distance you needed, as I have learned from taking your lead. We roamed the streets together, reading poems to those who didn't know they needed one, even after we were done. You offered me a room when I had no money and no job, fed me until I got one. We talked poetry till all hours of the night, created festivals where hundreds read their poems. We made poems on the spot and failed on stage trying. You were always reading books, 2 or 3 a day, and not poetry books, I mean big books. A Phi Beta Kappa from Purdue could talk about scaling Pentagon walls and later always on call at AT&T because you knew their main computer best. I saw it as something big enough for your intellect, and alone with that responsibility, you drank. Closed Yancey's many nights. When last we spoke, you had had a stroke. You said you remembered lines of my poetry, but not my name. Reading was frustrating. Your peripheral vision continued the page with imaginary characters. Your brain was slow to identify, but you'd like to have dinner sometime, even for old time's sake. Just give you a call.
Yeah.
And in 1976, I wrote a series
poems called Billy Ralph and the Pizza Factory. It was a bicentennial poem, so it was written. Yeah. And this is one of the poems. Before I moved to the city, after I went to college, I came home to Petaluma and worked with my grandfather, who tore down houses and sold the used lumber. There is a method to demolishing chicken houses so as to save the lumber. Start with the roof. Pull off the shingles, the 1x6 siding. Expose the insides to the elements. Strip to the frame, the floor. Listen to the wind. Relax. Let the wind wind through you. Through the cracks between the molecules of wood. Wood speaks to you. Wood creaks, whistles through its cracks. Wood is wall absorbing stories from inside, from outside. See wood, the different perspectives move, the perspectives change. Each board has a different story to tell, a forest of stories to tell. Tell seed, tell sapling, tell giant sequoia. Timber! Tell earth moan. Tell thunder of dust. Tell silence of death. Smell hot teeth of saw, grind deadwood to dust, lumber to stud, plank and beam. It's life after death in the world of paper money. Walk through tamed wilderness, stumps and logs leveled, left to rot in the shadows of concrete high-rises. Taste the bitterness of eroded earth and feel the sliver of pain that makes us wake into living awareness. Healing wind, blow the dust cornered in years, sweep the broken shrines of brittle spiders, play their loose ends like chimes in this empty room. There is a method to demolishing chicken houses so as to save the lumber, so as to grow on.
Bill Bartnell, ladies and gentlemen, our menu for the evening. Wow. One of those evenings, folks, I tell you. Continuing with our string of hits, we have Jane Radis coming up now. We're going to give her a nice round of applause. Really great to have her here. And we got Hal Robbins, Garrett Murphy, and Clara Sue, but Jane Radis, what a beautiful voice she has.
Thank you, Dan. Two recent poems, Leaves on Grass, and this is a little depressing, I'm realizing. Leaving the house, leaving this earth, health is leaving, having overstayed its welcome. It got tired of the challenges, but I've had some wonderful trips. Budding leaves on young trees, old trees topple over, dry and rotten, like flesh, overused, not taken care of properly, so they die. And my apartment will be like a shell, with books and everything showing, but nothing in the closets. Like my body, a shell, on the outside looks good, but nothing inside.
Oh, it was well written, though.
The open road. The road has always been open, that turn in the road not taken. Maybe it was the one. Many directions I could have gone, north, south, east, west, even up and down, ending at the center of things, on target. Red rings circling, a bird overhead soaring, moon setting over the bridge, soft glow of dusk lighting the road, opening ahead. Thank you.
I told you, Jane Radis. And now, Mr. Hal Robbins will stand fourth or fifth, depending on where he wants to, and right over here. Don't leave us out. Don't leave us out.
These are stanzas from Coleridge's poem Dejection, an Ode. And once again, the lute referred to in the poem is an Aeolian lute, where the wind blows through strings that are set in a frame and makes all sorts of sound. And at the end, characteristically, this poet hopes that the stars will not make noise when he talks about his benediction, because he was afflicted with synesthesia, hearing sounds for sights, for which he took opium. Or perhaps he took opium and then he heard the sounds when he saw the sights. Or maybe it's hardwired in the human mind, and this is the story of how at the creation of the world the stars sang and so forth. Maybe you just need a slight adjustment to hear that music. Hence, viper thoughts that coil around my mind, reality's dark dream, I turn from you and listen to the wind which long hath raved unnoticed. What a scream of agony by torture lengthened out that lute sent forth. Thou wind that raves without, bare crag or mountain tarn, or blasted tree, or pine grove whither woodman never clomb, or lonely house long held the witch's home, methinks were fitter instrument for thee, mad lutenist, who in this month of showers, of dark brown gardens and of peeping flowers, mak'st devil's yule with worse than wintry song, the blossoms, shoots, and tenderest leaves among. Thou actor, perfect in all tragic sounds, thou mighty poet, e'en to frenzy bold, what tell'st thou now about? 'Tis of the rushing of an host in rout, with groans of trampled men, and aching wounds, that once they groan and shudder with the cold. But hush, there is a pause of deepest silence, and all that noise as of a rushing crowd with groans and tremulous mutterings, all is over. It tells another tale, with sounds less deep and loud, a tale of less affright, yet tempered with delight, as Otway's self had framed the tender lay. 'Tis of a little child upon a lonesome wild, not far from home, but she has lost her way, and now moans low in bitter grief and fear, and now screams loud and hopes to find her mother near. 'Tis midnight, but small thoughts have I of sleep. Full seldom may my friend such vigils keep. Visit her gentle sleep with wings of healing, and let this storm be but a mountain birth. May all the stars shine bright above her dwelling, silent as though they watched the sleeping earth. With light heart may she rise, gay fancy, cheerful eyes, joy lift her spirit, joy attune her voice. To her may all things live from pole to pole, their life the eddying of her living soul. O simple spirit, guided from above, dear lady, friend, devoutest of my choice, thus mayest thou ever, evermore rejoice.
Wow.
Any comments? I have a minute and a half left, and so also connected to our theme of being lost tonight.
Thank God.
The End of the World by Archibald MacLeish.
Oh, great.
Quite unexpectedly, as Vassereau, the armless ambidextrian, was lighting a match between his great and second toe, and Ralph the lion was engaged in biting the neck of Madame Sauceman, while the drum pointed and Teeny was about to cough in waltz time, swinging Jocko by the thumb. Quite unexpectedly, the top blew off, and there overhead, there arched over those hundreds of white faces, those dazed eyes, there amid the starless dark, the pause, the hover, there spreading vast wings across the cancelled skies. Quite unexpectedly stood out the black pall of nothing, 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 nothing at all.
Wow. Pointer got a lot of these are cards. All right. Woo! All right. Following up that, we have Garrett Murphy, a wonderful poet, and then we have Clara Sue, the clincher closer. Garrett, bring him on up here. Treat him like he deserves to be treated. This guy has a great voice. I love this.
Hey, our feature is coming up. The first one will be on Friday the 18th at a place called Nomadic Press. It's on Fruitvale Avenue in Oakland at 7. And the second one is a week from Saturday at the Saturday night special open mic reading at Nick's Lounge in Berkeley, and that's also at 7 p.m. The co-feature at the first reading is Michelle Gonzalez. The secret prerequisite for passing the Law Enforcement Academy. Congratulations to all your recruits. With the passage of our secret requirement, you have officially fulfilled all the tests for being able to call yourselves officers of the law. Let the outside world believe that what we mean by the special elite, that we mean toughening one's mind and body via basic training, or being proficient in hand-to-hand combat, or being a crackest shot imaginable. It is really none of those things, nor is it familiarity with police jargon or military jargon, or how well you can handle our numerous types of armament, or even knowing your badge or serial number. The most uncanny and savvy among you managed to figure it out. It happens to be how well you can tell a tall tale, one that moves our allies in court and politics to believe you when you can tell how the target reached for your gun, or tried to assault you, or tried to threaten you and others. And you can now tell a most compelling story using that specially bred imagination. That, rookies, is what really makes a good law enforcer. You have passed with flying colors, and I am very proud of all of you. But just keep this in mind, officers. Real colors do not fly as gloriously as the ones you have just passed with.
Yeah.
Exit strategy simplistic. Attention all patrons and personnel alike. We must sincerely request that all who are racist must leave these premises immediately. Doing with those who practice any type of sexism, those who engage in religious intolerance, and those under the delusion that love can only exist between those of opposite sexes. And we must also insist that those who believe one can only be happy in the biology they were born into must also depart from our territory. And so should those who would deride any who are different in any way, shape, or form from them. And so too must those who think English is the only legitimate language. And to top it all up, we must regrettably expel any and all who have ever held any such attitude of sorts, for even an instant. And especially a pair of juvenile delinquents who fancy themselves as belonging, so that which all of the above persons have just been instructed to remove themselves from, namely the human race.
Nice. Garrett Murphy. All right. The clock on the clubhouse wall says. All right. Thank you, Garrett. And now our clincher, closer, super duper bulldozer.
You guys next week.
Miss Clara Sue, kindly stepping forth. Thank you so much. Give her a round, please, for people.
Okay, I wrote this before I knew about the theme.
Oh.
But it turned out to be very fitting. Lost socks for Hal Robbins. So much is written about lost socks. The loose twin straying in the cosmos, by some miracles, returns to find the other aged, perforated. What good is it for a man to gain a sock, but lose his soul?
See, that's what you do with the last word.
So, would you kindly just cut those cards a few times, because that's the last part of the evening where we distribute these wonderful, magical, happy, good door prizes, which I'll reintroduce. First, we have National Geographic's Cool It.
Is that
The Guinness Book of World Records, in case you want to get it.
Is that Rupert Murdoch's National Geographic?
No, this is older than him. That's old. And this is a report from Iron Mountain on the possibility and desirability of peace. I think that's a good plan. That's a good idea. And of course, if you want to go back in time, 2 different Star Trek books. One is Star Trek number 9, and this is Star Trek Log 4. So they're different Star Trek series. And I have so many of those. I didn't realize. I had this box like this, just full. Are you ready? All right. So if you did sign in, then there's a number next to your name, and then of course I picked the card that has the number on it. You can also choose to be the keynote, choose next week's theme, get the last word, or be the mini feature, which Bill just did today. All right. So and now a drum roll, please. Thank you so much. Und auf Deutsch Rap Nummer 6. This is Bill.
Hey.
Bill Mercer.
He never wins.
I know, he never wins, but now it's his turn.
I wasn't prepared to win.
Well, what do you want? You got to do something.
Decision.
You don't have to do anything. You can say, why no, Dan, I'd rather not sit here. But you got those to choose, or one of the things.
Let me get one of these.
Which one do you want?
I don't know.
Well, think about that. Another drum roll, please. Well, he's considering
I'll take the mini feature.
Okay, so you're going to be the mini feature? Okay.
Mini.
Okay, Clara Sue, you just won a prize.
Well, she always wins.
Carlos always, and you missed it. He would win just about.
I know, he would show up and he'd win like 5 times.
Top 3. Yeah.
What are you getting? Yeah.
Yes.
You always win. You know that.
What would you like? We have these things or those things?
I'll be
Next week.
Oh, the keynote? Okay. Clara as the opener.
Yay, set the tone.
She's Puerto Rican, black.
All right. And now, Sharon. Is Sharon here?
Well, I won't be next week.
Well, but you could take one of the books, or you could choose our theme.
Nice bird.
Oh, all right, just checking. Just make sure, because if you win, you'll have to at least acknowledge that you're there. Mr. Hal Robbins. Mr. Hal Robbins. I like doing that with his name, but he hasn't really told me to stop it yet, so I'm going to go.
You want to pass this? The gentleman just left. He does his spoken word.
Oh, okay.
And I told him to come back next week.
Okay.
Tuesday, first Tuesday.
Oh, you got it. Good job. And next we have David Robertson. Is David still here? Oh, David, you're still here, so we have something for you. The theme or the last word or one of those, whichever you might like. Or you could do choose the theme or get the last word. Be the last person to speak. Okay. So I'll put you here. Hold on a second. I gotta make sure I have it spelled right. David Robertson. Okay.